Hey, before we get started, hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also, tell me, where are you listening right now? What time is it where you are? Because where you're tuning in might just tint how this feels. Now, it's past midnight. There's a faint drizzle tapping steadily against the side window. Outside, everything is clothed in thick fog that blurs the edges of the garden and smudges the streetlight's orange glow into a soft halo. You can almost taste the damp air, cool and heavy, like the world outside is holding its breath. You're settled on the couch, a warm throw across your legs, the low hum of the heater barely audible under the rain. The quiet is comfortable except for a sudden sharp sound that splinters the evening. The soft creak of wood in the back porch. It's subtle but enough to catch your attention. You freeze, pulse dipping just a touch. The back door is just there. Barely 20 feet from where you sit, its latch holding firm, but you think you catch the faintest sound of a step, careful and slow, somewhere on the other side. You stand, sliding your hand along the smooth curve of the door frame as you approach, the floor cool beneath your socks. Another step. Soft mud presses against the concrete slab of the porch outside, and you glimpse it in the dim reflected light. An imprint, half circular, damp and smeared, just beyond the metal threshold. The rain continues its quiet percussion overhead, like a slow heartbeat, steady and relentless. The clock on the wall ticks too, 12:06. You reach for the deadbolt with deliberate care, twisting it until you hear the metallic click of secure closure. Then your fingers find the peephole. You lean in, breathing slowing, eyes narrowing to pierce the fog. Outside, the garden is drenched. The leaves like slick umbrellas under the street lamps glow. There's a shadow, a shape too large to be a stray animal, but too still, too silent. For a moment, it feels like it's holding your gaze back. The fog, a curtain, makes it hard to be sure. The sound comes again. Footsteps. Not on the porch this time. They trace along the edge of the house, near the rain gutters, slim and cautious. Rainwater trickles down the sidewall, making a soft plip-plop rhythm between each step. You take a quiet breath and move toward the sliding glass door in the kitchen, the floor creaking faintly under you. You don't flip on the porch light, too telling, but the glow from inside spills out just enough to sketch vague shapes in the immediate yard. This time the footsteps are closer to the back fence. There's a gentle rustle as something brushes against wet leaves or a low bush, maybe a stray branch caught in the moist air. The rain, light as ever, dampens any sharper noises. You press your palm to the glass. The chill settles in through the pane. The fog thickens now, swallowing the silhouette completely, just as you consider calling the police, hesitation catching in your throat. You check your phone screen, 12:10 a.m., signal full, but no bars of immediate comfort from distant voices. Outside, a faint pop sounds, like a latch being tested, or a loose gate swinging on its rusted hinges. You can't be sure. You wait, holding your breath, muscles taut. Silence falls. The rain's steady beat fills the void again, as if nothing had stirred at all. You return to the living room, locking the kitchen door behind you, and flick on the small lamp near the couch. Light doesn't chase away the fog, but it encloses you in a bubble of warmth. You settle back down, still alert, but eased by the barriers between you and whatever prowls in the mist. As you listen to the rain and the occasional distant pass of a car, its headlights splitting the fog for a moment, you wonder how much of fear lives in what we sense versus what we can prove. Does the shadow outside want something? Or is it just the fog playing tricks on tired eyes? If you're here right now, first thing, go ahead and tap that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And before we move on, where are you listening? What time is it where you are? Because this moment, this night we're about to step into together, tastes different depending on where you are. It's past midnight. Rain is tapping in a lazy, uneven rhythm, against the narrow window by the kitchen sink. You smell it immediately. Damp earth and wet wood, the scent thickening the air with an almost cool sharpness. The kind of night where everything outside feels distant, blurred under a veil of fog and rain, like the world has been wiped clean of color and clarity. You feel the chill creeping along your neck, wet almost, from the damp air slipping through a slightly cracked window. Just then, a sound, not the rain, but a soft, uneven creak. The faintest scrape of something, or someone, moving near the back door. Your heart nudges itself a little faster, and your mind slugs through the possibilities. Footsteps? Animals? Or something less explainable? You take a breath and make your way toward the kitchen, the floor cool and smooth beneath your bare feet. The room lights are dim. You don't want to attract any attention outside. Your hand reaches the back door's cold handle, steady now, but your eyes lock onto the little circle of the peephole, embedded just at eye level, scratched lightly around the edges, as if from years of use. You bend closer, your breath fogging that tiny lens, and peer through. Outside is nothing but thick, clinging mist that swallows the garden whole. The rain's rhythm softens, almost fading into something more like a whisper. And then, a pair of shapes, blots of shadow moving along the narrow porch, just beyond the faint reach of the porch light that buzzes quietly overhead. A slick leaf skitters underfoot. The vague silhouette halts, as if listening, then shifts, disappearing for a heartbeat behind the low hedge before reappearing near the corner of the house. Your eyes strain, your head tilting slightly, trying to catch a glimpse beyond the fog's haze. A soft clicking sound, metal, like a gate latch, tested or settling, breaks the silence. Your pulse quickens, but your body stays calm, cautious. You scan the ground for footprints. There, a dark imprint pressed into the soaked concrete, deeper on one side, smeared with droplets of mud. You step back from the door and check your phone. It's 12:13 a.m. The screen glows softly in the dim room. You feel the weight of isolation, that quiet knowledge that neighbors are too far, the roads empty, and your voice could just as easily disappear in the thick, wet night. You slide the deadbolt into place, hearing its sharp click lock the door tight. You flick off the kitchen light, leaving the room bathed in the soft glow from the living room lamp behind you, casting shadowy refuge. Outside, the rain picks up again, steady now, a soft hammering on the old wooden siding, like a kind of pulse. The shadows don't return, and the quiet fills back in around you. Your breathing slows, the tension easing just a fraction as you stand for a moment by the window, watching the fog swallow the last outlines of the garden. You wonder about those footsteps, about who or what moved out there. Was it curiosity, lost, something else? Or maybe, just maybe, nothing at all, just the night playing tricks, shaping stories in the spaces between the drops. And you catch yourself thinking about the way fear works sometimes, not as a sudden jolt, but as a slow turn, a shifting awareness that something is watching, just at the edge of your view, in the spaces fog leaves behind. How often do we let that feeling pass? And how often do we choose to listen? Before we dive in tonight, take a second. Go ahead and tap like and subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me, where are you listening right now? What time is it for you? Because the way this night lands depends so much on where you're sitting and what the clock says. It's past midnight. Outside, rain is tapping a persistent, uneven rhythm against the side window just by the hallway. The air is thick with that wet, earth-dusted smell you get when rain slips over soaked grass and cracked concrete. The chill presses gently against your skin, the kind that isn't sharp, but sneaks in, lingering like a slow breath. You're standing near the hall, eyes drawn to the window you passed a dozen times tonight without much thought. Tonight, something feels just a little off. The rain blurs the glass, each drop a tiny trembling drumbeat against the pane. You lean in closer, eyelashes catching the faint glow of a distant streetlight swallowed in fog. A thin layer of condensation gathers on the inside, and as you press your palm lightly to the glass, the cool dampness spreads before your skin warms it again. Suddenly, there's a different sound. Not rain. It's a soft, almost hesitant scrape, like shoes on damp wood, coming from the side porch outside the window. You freeze, senses sharpening. The house is quiet, except for the rain and this new noise. A slow creaking that might be the old wood of the porch shifting, but it catches your ears. You blink against the slightly fogged glass and try to focus through the mist. The streetlight outside flickers, struggling through the fog, and for a brief moment you think you see someone, just beyond the reach of the porch light, moving slowly along the side of the house. The figure slips from view behind the garish shadow of the rain gutters. You swallow a quiet breath and step backward, heart feeling that steady, slow thump that tells you to be aware, but not to panic just yet. Checking the time on your phone takes a fraction of a second, but the screen's soft glow feels strangely distant in a room filled with shadows. 12:17 a.m. The neighbors are miles away, no lights on, their windows dark. The nearby road lies empty and slick, no headlights to cut through the fog. You pick up the cordless phone on the counter and flip it open, debating whether to call, but the silence from the other end keeps you rooted. You tighten the locks on the back door, hearing the distinct click of the deadbolt sliding home, the latch popping softly like a quiet promise of security. Then you move to the window again, tapping it lightly, watching the rain bead quickly then roll down in crooked rivers. Footsteps come again, brief, distant, fading before you can pinpoint them. The rain's song rises and falls, a steady percussion under the faint but unshakable feeling that eyes might be watching from just beyond the fog's curtain. You linger by the window, the outside world reduced to shadows and whispered movements, your breath slow but alert against the cool glass. You wonder how often nights like this unfold unnoticed, those small moments when something just doesn't add up, when the body senses a presence beyond sight or sound. How do we balance the urge to stay safe with the impulse to understand? And in that balance, is it ever possible to truly know what waits beyond the rain-streaked glass? Before we settle into this night's story, take a moment, tap like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'm curious, where are you listening right now? What time is it where you are? Because this night we're about to enter depends on the clock just as much as the place. It's just past midnight. The rain is soft but persistent, a steady drizzle, beating a gentle rhythm against the side window beside the kitchen sink. There's a coolness in the air, damp and heavy, carrying that sharp scent of wet earth and old wood, like the world outside is steeped in quiet moisture, waiting. You can almost feel the chill tracing along your skin, the way cold settles as a thin film beneath your clothes, subtle but certain. A sudden sound breaks the rhythm, the faint creak of a floorboard down the hallway near the basement door. You stop, heart tipping in your chest, muscles steadying as you listen. The house feels vast and strangely empty at this hour. No cars pass, no distant voices, just the rain tapping and a low hum from the fridge. You move toward the basement door, toes nudging across the hardwood floor that echoes softly under each step. Your hand finds the cold brass knob, fingers tightening around it. The air grows cooler here, a dampness slipping in from cracks around the door frame. You ease the door open with care, a soft squeak from the hinges. The basement light is low, a single bulb hanging from the ceiling near the stairs, casting long shadows that stretch and shrink with the flickering. Peering down the steps, you see the damp concrete floor slick with rain leaking somewhere in this old house. the faint scent of mildew and wet stone thickening the space. Just beyond the faint glow, shadows flicker and shift. For a moment, you think you see movement, something caught between the light and dark. Your breath hitches, but you tell yourself it's probably the way the bulb flickers, or a trick of your eyes in the dimness. The rain outside swells to a steady pulse, like a distant drum, filling the silence that follows the creak. You listen closely. Footsteps? No, just the settling of the house, the rain's soft assault on the roof. Yet something lingers near the edge of hearing, a whisper-like shift of air, or maybe a murmur carried on the damp breeze, slipping in from the cracked basement window. You pull the door shut, the latch clicking in place, holding the quiet at bay. The contrast of warmth upstairs presses back against your chilled skin as you move away, each step carrying the lingering weight of that shadowy corner. You flick your phone on and check the time. 12:24 a.m. The screen glows in the dark room, steady and normal. The light from your phone throws strange shapes against the walls, but nothing moves there now. The house settles again around you, vibrations humming softly beneath the floorboards like a slow heartbeat. You wonder, in these long, silent nights, how much of what we fear is rooted in what our eyes can't see, what our ears catch just at the edge of understanding. How often do we miss what really waits in the shadows, because it's hiding just where the light doesn't reach? And as you stand there, quiet in a house half filled with dark, you ask yourself, when the shadows shift and the silence deepens, what do you trust more? The stories your mind tells you, or the emptiness you can't explain? Before we get started, take a moment. Go ahead and tap like and subscribe if you haven't already. And where are you listening from? What time is it? Because those details cast a different shade over this story. It's just past midnight. Outside, rain falls steady but light, pattering against the side window next to the kitchen sink. The smell of wet earth rises through the cracked open window, thick and sharp, layered with the scent of damp wood from the old porch. The air feels cold against your skin, a cool dampness that sneaks under your shirt and makes the hairs on your arms stand just a little straighter. You're drawn to the window, as if some part of you wants to peer outside, despite the fog that slips in slow and thick. The street light down the road is barely aglow, swallowed by the mist, but then something else, a gleam. A pair of headlights, faint and wavering, cutting a pale path through the murk. Their low beams, unblinking, bare echoes of light, moving unevenly across the empty road beyond the yard. No sound yet, just the soft hush of rain and the distant call of an owl somewhere deep in the woods. You watch the headlights inch closer, slow and deliberate along the slick pavement. The windows next to you catch a flicker of movement, a shadow passing quickly behind the drawn curtain across the room. Your pulse tightens, steady but alert. You reach out, fingers brushing the cool glass, feeling the rain's rhythm against the pane almost like a heartbeat. There's a soft creak behind you, the back door shifting, just a fraction, not enough to set alarm bells ringing, but enough to make you turn. You scan the edge of the porch, where the rain darkens the wood. The outside light is dim, trying to fend off the fog, but you see nothing but wet shadows. Glancing back at the window, the headlights have paused, a heavy silence filling the space where sound should be. No engine hum, no tires sliding on wet asphalt, just that wash of quiet and rain. The clock's glow on your phone reads 12:35 a.m., steady and unchanging as the mist gnaws at the glass. You think about stepping outside to see if the car is actually there, but the slow breath of the chill wind stops you. Instead, you lock the back door once again, the latch snapping home firmly under your fingers. The quiet stretches long, filled with the steady tap of rain and the ghosts of footsteps you think you might have heard near the fence earlier. You sit back down, the soft hum of the house settling around you like a fragile shield. Outside, the fog thickens, swallowing the faint glow until the headlights vanish completely, leaving you to wonder, was that car ever real, or just a trick of wet glass and the way shadows move in the rain? Sometimes, you realize, being alone on a fog-covered night means trusting your senses less than your instincts. And in that balance between what you see and what you feel, what is the line between caution and curiosity? Before we begin, take a moment. Tap like and subscribe if this is your first time here. And while you settle in, where are you listening from? What time is it? Because where and when we meet changes how this night unfolds. It's just past midnight. Outside, the rain is quiet now, a gentle drizzle pattering softly against the attic window. The air inside is cool, a thin layer of dampness clinging to your skin as you reach the top of the narrow stairs. The faint smell of old wood and dust rises, the scent of a place rarely disturbed except on nights when storms roll in and you seek refuge under flickering bulbs. The attic is a small room, lined with faded wallpaper peeling at the edges, and a single low wooden table sits in the center. You almost expect it to be empty, but the table holds the weight of silence, a tense, expectant quiet that seems to fold into the heavy shadows beneath the sloped ceiling. The rain's rhythm is steady now, a soft drum on the roof, blurring your sense of time, mingling with the distant rustle of leaves outside. You pause, fingers brushing the rough surface of the table, the wood cool and slightly rough beneath your touch. The faint creak of the house settling sounds behind you. Footsteps? You turn slowly, but the attic's dim light reveals only the thickening gloom. The window glistens with raindrops that catch the meager glow, rippling slightly as a breeze leaks through a cracked frame. There's a hush, then. A whisper of sound just behind the back door down the hall. A soft tapping, like the knock of a distant branch or maybe a careful hand against glass. You breathe in, your breath slow and deliberate, trying to catch every subtle noise. The clock in the hallway ticks faintly, 12:43 a.m., each second measured and unyielding in the quiet. You consider the back door, the last line between you and whatever walks the wet shadows outside, but you don't move yet. Instead, your gaze drifts back to the table. How ordinary it looks, an everyday object resting under an ordinary roof. But tonight, in this dim light, it feels like a silent witness to all the things you dare not name. The rain slows, softening to a mere whisper on the roof, and silence stretches taut, wrapping around you like a second skin. Outside, fog curls through the branches, thick and white, swallowing the edges of the small yard. Your heartbeat alone pulses in the stillness, steady but aware, aching with the weight of the unseen. You wonder what stories this attic has held, the moments trapped in the faded wallpaper and worn floorboards beneath the rain's endless song. And in that quiet, you ask yourself, how much of the nights like these are shaped by what's really out there, and how much by what lives in the spaces between your thoughts? Sometimes, the quiet table waits, not for answers, but for the questions you're not ready to ask.